Welcome to the Launch Week Wrap Party. I'm so pumped you are joining us for this deep dive into the announcements from Turbot Launch Week 12.
The energy this week has been absolutely unreal. I mean, from March 23rd through the 27th, we've seen this massive shift in how organizations can enforce intent across complex multi-cloud environments.
It really has been a huge week for cloud security.
Totally.
Okay, let's unpack this. We are looking at a huge stack of announcements and blog posts, but we are not just going to read you a feature list today.
No, definitely not.
We are going to explore exactly how these updates eliminate those frustrating day-to-day bottlenecks in your work. Shifting you from reactive firefighting to proactive automated prevention.
Which is what everyone actually wants, right?
Right. So let's start right at the beginning with Monday's release. Because before you can secure a massive environment, you need a command center that actually makes sense. You need that sleek, modern glass cockpit.
Yeah, and what's fascinating here is how the design philosophy of the new Guardrails experience directly reflects that prevention-first mindset. It is not just about aesthetic upgrades.
Though I have to say, the new dark mode is an absolute lifesaver.
Oh, 100%. For those of us staring at screens for 10 hours a day, it is amazing.
But wait, let me stop you there because I know what you, the person listening to this right now, are probably thinking. You're thinking, great, a UI refresh, dark mode. Does this actually change how I do my job?
Here is the guided onboarding flow.
Okay, tell me about that.
Well, when you are a new user, or even like when you are scaling the platform to a new internal team, you don't want to be dropped into a void guessing what to do next. The console now actively tracks your onboarding progress.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it shows you exactly how to import your organization, securely connect your cloud accounts, and most importantly, deploy your very first preventive controls.
And then it just gets completely out of your way when things are healthy, right?
Exactly.
But when you need to dig in, those side panels, I have to say, context switching is the absolute enemy of productivity.
Oh, it's the worst.
Investigating a control used to mean clicking into a new page, losing your context, hitting the back button, and losing your place all over again.
Right. But now you select a prevention, and the detail overlays right on top of your workflow.
Well, that.
You open a recommendation to see deployment options, and you never leave the page you started from. But the piece of true craftsmanship here, in my opinion, is the integrated chat agent.
Yes. Because it isn't just, a generic bot scraping the internet.
Precisely. It deeply understands your specific organizational setup. It knows your controls and your internal policies.
Wait, really? It knows your internal setup?
Yeah. And because the documentation is now version matched directly in the console, when you ask the chat a question, it draws from the exact documentation for your installed Turbot Enterprise release.
So if I'm on version 5...
If you are on a specific version, it only gives you answers relevant to that exact version.
Wow, it's looking at the exact mods you have running in your environment. That is pure craftsmanship. So, okay, we have this beautiful new glass cockpit for visibility.
Right.
But visibility alone is kind of useless if the infrastructure is constantly bleeding out from, developer typos or rogue configurations. How do we stop the bleeding in real time?
Which brings us perfectly to Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, or OCI. That was our big focus in Tuesday's announcement.
Ah, yes. Tuesday.
Guardrails now provides continuous monitoring and automated remediation for OCI tenancies and compartments.
Okay, I'm going to play devil's advocate for a second here.
Go for it.
Why do we need runtime prevention for something like freeform tags and OCI? Can't we just mandate those rules at the build phase? You write the infrastructure as code, the pipeline checks it, boom, done.
In a perfect world, yes.
Yeah.
But let's look at the reality of the daily grind.
Right. It's never a perfect world.
Exactly. Developers are moving fast, they are building incredible things, but they make typos. Or tags just get missed entirely during manual deployments in the console.
Yeah, that happens all the time.
And OCI has defined tags, which are nice and structured, but they also have freeform tags. And those are essentially the Wild West.
Oh, I know. Anyone can add any key with any value.
Right. Cost center with no hyphen versus cost center with a hyphen.
And without automation, you are left chasing down application teams, sending emails, opening Jira tickets just to fix a misspelled tag. It is exhausting.
It's a huge waste of time. But with OCI runtime prevention, Guardrails evaluates each resource the second it is created or modified. Yes. It applies missing tags and corrects drifted tags in seconds. And it does this using the technical elegance of calculated policies.
Okay, so how does that actually work under the hood? How does the system know what the developer meant to do?
Let's use bucket versioning as an example.
Okay.
Not every single bucket needs versioning enabled, right?
Sure.
If a developer creates a temporary scratch bucket for data processing and adds a free-form tag marking it as temp, the calculated policy dynamically evaluates that resource.
It reads the tag.
Exactly.
Right.
It sees that temp tag intent
Yeah.
and automatically skips the versioning enforcement. But if that tag isn't there, it enforces versioning enabled. It's security that dynamically adapts to the developer's intent.
That is so cool. So if someone creates an object storage bucket with public access enabled by accident, the developer isn't blocked with some confusing error message during creation.
Right.
Guardrails just detects it and auto-remediates it to enforce private in seconds behind the scenes.
Precisely. The workflow isn't interrupted, but the security requirement is enforced instantly.
So OCI is locked down.
Locked down tight.
But modern enterprises do not live in just one cloud. I mean, they have workloads everywhere, and the code originates in source control. How do we apply that exact same runtime repair across the board?
This is where we see the true scale of a prevention-first mindset. Wednesday's blog post detailed the multi-cloud trifecta.
Ah, Wednesday. The big one.
Yep. Bringing Preventive Security Posture Management, or PSPM, to Azure, GCP, and GitHub.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Let's look closely at GitHub for a second. Because applying runtime prevention to source control is like, well, it's like a bouncer at an exclusive club.
Okay, I like where this is going.
A lot of security tools just check IDs at the door. That's your build phase pipeline scanner.
Right.
But a really good bouncer doesn't just stand at the door. They're inside the club, mingling, and they instantly spot if someone sneaks into the VIP section. Then they quietly escort them out before anyone even notices.
That is a great analogy.
Look at the specific example from the GitHub blog post. Say your organization's policy is that all repositories default to private, but someone accidentally changes the payments prod repository visibility from private to public.
Oh, a terrifying scenario for any CISO.
Exactly. Total nightmare. But Guardrails detects that change instantly via webhooks. It flags the control to alarm, issues an action notify, and auto-remediates that repository back to private in seconds.
It's just handled.
The whole sequence is done. No tickets, no manual intervention, and virtually no window of exposure.
And if we zoom out to the compliance perspective, the value is immense. Wednesday's releases detailed specific benchmark alignments.
Let's hear them.
We are talking about the Azure CIS version 5, GCP CIS version 4, and GitHub CIS version 1.1 benchmarks.
Now, if you are listening to this right now, you probably already have a CNAPP dashboard giving you like 10,000 alerts across all those clouds. You might be thinking, why do I need this Turbot PSPM on top of my CNAPP?
That is a crucial distinction to make, because a traditional CNAPP is fantastic for visibility. It alerts you that a fire has started somewhere in your environment.
Sure.
But it often stops there. Guardrails, on the other hand, provides actionable implementation options across the build, access, config, and runtime layers. It doesn't just tell you that your Azure storage account allows unencrypted connections.
Right. It doesn't just hand you a fire extinguisher and walk away.
Exactly. It gives you the exact Azure policy to block it at the access layer, the subscription level default for the config layer, and the runtime control to continuously monitor and auto-remediate it. It actually closes the gap automatically.
Automated enforcement sounds absolutely amazing. But let's be real here for a second.
Right.
Every CISO, every cloud security engineer has the exact same nightmare.
Breaking production.
Yes.
Yeah.
Deploying a preventive control that accidentally breaks a critical production workflow. You turn on a policy, and suddenly the entire checkout system goes down. How do we deploy with zero fear?
Testing preventive policies has historically been the hardest part of deploying them. Teams just leave policies stuck in draft mode out of sheer terror of the unknown impact. You know, the blast radius.
But let me tell the story from Thursday's announcement because it perfectly illustrates its exact fear.
Go for it.
Imagine a developer on the Goliath Payments broad team. They log in, they switch to the Asia-Pacific Singapore region, and they try to create an S3 bucket.
Simple enough.
Right. But AWS spits back a cryptic error. It says, failed to create bucket. Explicit deny in a service control policy. Now, just a quick refresher for anyone who isn't living in AWS IAM every day, an SCP, or Service Control Policy, is this massive overarching guardrail that governs the whole AWS account. It supersedes everything.
Right, it's the ultimate rule of law in that environment.
But the error doesn't say which SCP blocked them. The developer has no idea which policy it is, where it's attached, or why.
So what do?
They open a support ticket and they sit there waiting, completely blocked.
Yeah, and if we connect this to the bigger picture, this is where the magic of Thursday's release shines. connecting your SIEM directly to the Guardrails policy simulator.
Okay, unpack that for me. How does that actually work securely? Because sending all my SIM data somewhere sounds heavy and potentially risky.
It's remarkably elegant, actually. You can now connect AWS CloudTrail Lake or Splunk Enterprise directly to Guardrails.
Okay.
And here's the kicker. There are no agents to deploy and no log forwarding to configure.
Wait, really? No agents?
Nope. You just point Guardrails at your event data store. It uses a secure integration to query your SIEM right in place, and that real historical event data starts streaming to the platform simulator.
So that denied event from our developer in Singapore,
Yeah.
it just flows into the policy simulator automatically.
Yes. No digging through logs in a separate tab. You open the event in the simulator, and the entire org tree appears visually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you see the pass down to the payments OU, the organizational unit, and it highlights the exact SCP, in this case, the region restriction workloads policy.
So it points right to the problem.
Exactly. It clearly shows the developer requested App Southeast 1, which wasn't on the allowed list. Mystery solved in seconds.
But we still haven't fixed the problem for the developer. We just know why they are blocked.
Right. And this is where the zero fear deployment comes in. Let's say the payments team actually needs that Singapore region.
Okay.
In the old days, you'd modify the SCP in production, cross your fingers, and pray you didn't just break the EU region by accident.
Yeah, the classic spray and pray.
Exactly. But now, you duplicate the policy right there in the simulator. You add the new region to the list, and you rerun the evaluation against that same real historical event data from your SIEM.
Oh, wow. So you are testing the blast radius of your change against what actually happened in your environment over the last 30 days?
Exactly. You prove that your change allows the Singapore bucket, but still blocks the unauthorized regions before anything ever touches production.
That is incredible.
It replaces guesswork with absolute verifiable evidence.
That is a complete game changer. Pure visibility, zero guesswork. Okay, so we've got our glass cockpit. We've locked down the multi-cloud perimeter. We're simulating blast radius. Let's talk about fine-tuning the engine.
For Friday B-sides.
Yes, the main stage announcements all week were huge, but the true joy of launch week is looking at Friday's B-sides.
The B-sides are all about the technical craftsmanship that makes the practitioner's daily life significantly better. They are the under-the-hood evolutions.
So what does this all mean for the tools we use every day? Specifically, I'd love for you to explain the transition from the older approved controls to the newly rolled out allowed controls.
Yeah.
And be honest here. If I have a massive library of legacy policies using approved, how painful is this evolution going to be?
It's actually brilliant evolution and flexibility, and it's designed to be completely seamless.
Okay, good.
The older approved guardrails were incredibly powerful, but they acted as a single monolithic pass or fail check.
An all or nothing kind of thing.
Exactly. If we take an EC2 instance, for example, the approved control would check the region, the instance type, encryption, image, everything, all together in one block.
Which is a bit of a blunt instrument, right? Because if any single check failed, the entire resource was marked unapproved. And then one blanket enforcement action applied to the whole thing.
Right. The new allowed controls break this apart. Instead of one massive control, you have independent decoupled controls for each objective.
Oh, I see.
Now, you can configure it so that if an instance is spun up in an unapproved region, you stop or terminate it immediately. But if it's just the wrong instance type, maybe you just want to set an alarm and notify the team without destroying their work.
That makes so much sense. Each control has its own enforcement action, and you can deploy or update them independently.
Exactly.
That level of nuance and precision is essential for modern infrastructure. But what about those legacy policies?
The transition is designed to be non-disruptive. Your existing approved logic continues to function exactly as it did. But as you migrate to allowed, you gain this granular tuning. It's an evolution of your security posture, not a rip and replace of your hard work.
That is huge. And speaking of fine-tuning, the AI integrations got a major boost on Friday as well.
Yes, they did. The AI features that power intelligent assessment and intelligent fixes were already fantastic at suggesting remediation code.
You really were.
But now, enterprises have the flexibility to use their own AWS Bedrock or Azure OpenAI infrastructure.
Meaning they don't have to send their policy data to an external public model. That is always a sticking point for compliance.
Exactly. You aren't forced to use a specific provider. You can integrate with the private cloud AI investments and security boundaries your organization has already established.
Love that. And we absolutely have to give a massive shout out to the
Oh,
community.
oh, the community is amazing.
The B-Sides post highlighted some incredible open source updates. We saw new tables for SteamPipe. Now, for the folks listening who haven't played with it yet, SteamPipe is this incredible open source tool that lets you query your cloud infrastructure using standard SQL.
It's incredibly powerful. And the community added new tables like the OSIC 2 fleet table and the Vanta vulnerability table. The community contributions are just, well, they are the lifeblood of this ecosystem.
They really are. And reading about the energy from the Turbot booth at the RSAC 2026 conference, it just proves how hungry the industry is for this prevention-first approach.
Oh, yeah.
People don't want to just look at dashboards of broken things anymore. They want to fix them.
The momentum is palpable. Seeing practitioners actively building with these tools, writing walkthroughs, and creating dashboards, it shows that this isn't just theoretical. It's practically transforming how teams operate day to day.
It really is. Well, we've covered so much ground today. From the sleek new glass cockpit of the Guardrails interface to stopping the bleeding with OCI runtime prevention.
It's been a busy week.
We explored the multi-cloud trifecta, bringing actionable PSPM to Azure, GCP, and GitHub. And we geeked out over the holy grail of testing with agentless SIEM integrations in the policy simulator.
Best feature of the week, in my opinion.
It is so good. And finally, we saw the craftsmanship in the B-sides with the granular evolution of allowed controls and private AI models. Shifting to this prevention-first model completely changes the game for large enterprises.
It does, and this raises an important question, actually, something for you to really mull over as you look at your own infrastructure tomorrow morning.
Let's hear it.
If Guardrails is in the background, handling all the continuous monitoring, the real-time auto-remediation, and giving you the power to simulate testing with perfect accuracy, how does your role as a cloud security engineer evolve?
Oh, that's a really great thought.
Right. If you are no longer forced to be the exhausted fixer of endless alerts, chasing down missing tags and public buckets, do you finally get the space to step back and become the strategic architect of intent? Designing the ideal state of your cloud rather than constantly bailing water out of the boat.
What a fantastic note to end on. Designing the ideal state. I love that. Well, if you want to see exactly how these tools can turn you into an architect of intent, you can catch live demos of everything we discussed at the upcoming Gartner Security and Risk Management Summit. Thank you so much for joining us for this wrap party and deep dive into launch week 12. Until next time, keep building securely.